Hello and welcome to Orchestra's Spring Concert. Please welcome the Ionian Orchestra to the stage. We're excited to share what we've been doing the last couple of months. Last time we saw each other was in March, and they were starting to do two-part music. They did Irish jig with 2 parts and Russian music box. Tonight it's all the type of music that we'll be doing for the next couple of years here at Castellero, which is multiple-part music. Which is a much bigger difficulty than when we were all playing those single lines back at the winter concert, Hot Cross Buns, and all the other top 40 charts that you hear at Boogie Man Orchestra concerts. We're going to start with a piece called Huevos Rancheros. You'll hear the basses and the cellos giving us this great samba rhythm, and the violins and violas having a dialogue on top. This is Huevos Rancheros. Some more folks into the Carnegie Hall of San Jose Unified. We're excited to have you all here. We're not entirely sure what's going on, but the temperature currently in the room, I think, is about 472 degrees. By the end of the concert, hopefully we top 500. We'll see. If you're feeling hot, thankfully you're not in a full suit. You don't have the lights on yet. Thanks so much for being here. It's really nice to see all the support for these kids all year round. We know what it takes to be a parent. It's a lot of work, and so we appreciate you showing out for tonight's concert and finding ways in your schedule to support them throughout the entire school year. While we welcome you, we'd also like to welcome some folks that you see here on stage. On percussion, we have so many wonderful professional guests that come to Castellero. Josh first played with us at the Four Seasons concert and crushed it. It was so great to have him as this person who can sit down and read music because he's a professional musician. Please welcome to the stage, Josh Kwan. A little bit, but there's all sorts of stuff hanging all around me, and we'll talk about that as we close the show, because our finale involves all of this, and then tonight's concert with the older kids has an entire set of Lightshow material, so if you'd like to spend more time in a facility that's over 500 degrees, by all means, come on back and enjoy some more lights. But we have Mr. Lightshow in the corner. That is his official name on his birth certificate. It was just a coincidence that he's also really great at programming lights. Could you please welcome Mr. Lightshow? He's been here all week, starting last Friday. He spent about 3 hours getting everything set up in the classroom so we can be practicing with us all week. He shows up every morning from 7 a.m. to 9:30, then goes off to his job at Netflix, and then he's been here all day today. And then he and I finished this up last night at 11 p.m. So all told, he's probably put about 20 hours just to get all of this together. For this particular performance, that 20 hours results in a 3-minute light show. So one of the reasons we like to point that out is that anything that you want to be great takes great effort. And folks like Mr. Lightshow and Josh and all these professionals that we bring in are what it looks like when you've dedicated your whole life to something. And that's what we're trying to inspire our kids here to do, whether it's on viola or whether they become doctors or lawyers. We want them to dedicate themselves to the very best that they can be so they can contribute to society at a high level. This next selection is going to show how they've been contributing just practicing the key of D major. They have a lot of slurs, a lot of eighth notes. This is written by Mark Williams, who is a fantastic educator from the Northwest. He wrote all sorts of wonderful pieces for this age level and this level of experience. This is Fiddles on Fire. Because they're so well written. They're always teaching students. They correlate with the curriculum that we do. And this is called Dragonhunter. You'll hear a very fierce and fiery beginning as we embark on our journey. You'll hear this middle section that has very strong ties to the Renaissance period. You might feel like you're at a fair on the inside of some sort of castle. And then we finish the adventure still seeking our dragon. This is Dragonhunter. Okay, we have one more. We're going to do tribal dance next, which means we get to welcome someone who's been hanging out with us all semester. We've had 2 student teachers. In our first semester, we had Miss Paralee, and in our second semester, we had Miss Live. Can you please give a round of applause for Miss Live? And Miss Live's going to conduct tribal dance for you. This is another wonderful piece that has great rhythmic sort of drive to it, quarter notes and 8th notes, opportunities to look up and watch the conductor as there's pitfalls or rests. A lot of great watching at this young level. And then once they're finished with tribal dance, we're going to switch the seats around a little bit. The chamber's going to come to the front. But for now, we're going to play tribal dance. And you're going to make your way to the back as Chamber makes their way to the front. Okay? And do so quietly, and I'll talk to the audience for a little bit. So one of the great things about being part of any of these groups is that you get to be together. You get to be on campus, you get to support and chaperone trips, you get to help out at concerts, you get to help out with uniforms, you just get to get out of the house and see your kids doing well on stage. It's so important to have these programs, and we're so lucky at Castellaro that it has a legacy program. The school was set up initially as a voluntary integration school with arts as its core to make sure that students that came to Castellaro felt like they belonged. It was this really great experiment where having the arts at the heart of the curriculum turned out to have a positive impact everywhere else in these students' lives. Attendance is higher, general connection to the school is higher, the community is generally more excited about being at this particular school. And it's because of programs like this that we're hoping to see is that more of San Jose Unified Schools can look like Castellaro. They could have all these years because every school site gets to allocate FTE, which is how that's the special acronym for full-time educator, so they can have this many teachers based on the enrollment. But schools have chosen whatever they've chosen over the last few years, and once programs go away, it's really hard to rebuild them. So if you have friends that are, at Bret Harte or at any of the other middle schools, certainly in the area, you can say, well, this is what they're doing at Castellero, and this is why I think it's valuable. Because in the state of California, we have an entire generation of leadership that didn't have arts in their lives because those programs got cut in the late 70s and early 80s. So they don't know how to really build an entire ecosystem. And with Prop 28, we're hoping that we have as many voices involved as possible to encourage things like this. You've seen that your kids have a little skip in their step when they talk about orchestra. They take their instrument out and practice on their own. Or the sound of at the very beginning is the living version of failing at a task, but not leading to quitting that task. So they have to choose to keep practicing and chip away at it and get better and better and better. And here, after 7.5, 8 months of focus, they're playing what they're playing in front of you. It shows that, first of all kids can do it, which, if we take that as a data point, that means all of you can as well. I often have conversations with adults like, I just can't hear music, I can't do music. You just didn't have the right teacher at the right time with the right support, and that goes with any subject. If they can do well in orchestra, then they can also do well in math, they can also do well in science, they can also do well in English. We just have to believe that we can, and we have to have a teacher that guides us and parents that support us in the process. So thanks for being part of that puzzle, the parents that help them with their homework, that advocate them when they don't understand things at school. For all the teachers that are here tonight, and our wonderful counseling team, and our admin, all the people that every day are trying to get their kids to go a little bit further. This is a hard time of year. It's a wonderful time of year. It's also a hard time of year because these 8th graders that we poured so many resources in, they're doing really well, and it's a little bit hard to say goodbye because they're off in the world. It's very natural, but it's hard to say goodbye. The other side is also true. Every single teacher wants to help every single kid, and at the end of the year, sometimes we weren't able to reach that young person, or maybe there were just too many things in their lives that made it too hard for them to be successful at this moment, and we all just hope that at some point the right algorithm happens and they have the success that they deserve, because we're all on a pathway and we're all in this together, and we want to make sure that this is our chance to help these kids. Because we know that it gets harder as we get older to adjust with the errors that might happen in our lives. This is the time to help them and to support them and to encourage them. So thank you for doing what you're doing. Thanks to all the teachers who are here and all the parents that help make all these programs happen. Big round of applause for every one of them. So now just focus on the kiddos, now that they're in the right spots. This is the Chamber Orchestra, and you've heard them throughout the year. These are the kids that started at the beginning not that long ago. Some of them last year, some of them 2 years ago, and a few students that came in playing at Castellero. We're going to play one piece for it. It's called Perseus. It's an epic tale. You'll hear the adventure go all the way through the tale of Perseus, and you'll hear the melodies carried in all of our sections. It's a really fun piece to play, something that the kids always really enjoy. This is by Soon-Hee Newbold, fantastic Korean-American composer, lives in LA. Not only a fantastic composer and pianist, but also part of LAPD. So she's got a very interesting life, and she's done a lot of things for our world. So this is Soon-Hee Newbold's Perseus. that 2 years ago brought those instruments home and played them every day. Right? There's no secret to how life works. Time put in has results, and no hard work is ever lost. So it's just wonderful to see where they were just a short time ago. We're going to switch back to our final couple tunes here with our Ionian Orchestra. And as they're shifting, now we're going to thank all the people outside of the building that help make this happen. We have the Castellaro Music Booster Club. It's our nonprofit that is the umbrella program that supports all of these students, whether they need financial aid or all the coaches we bring in. And I'm sure you've heard about many of our coaches. For our bass section, we have Rafael Zepeda. He came in weekly to work with our basses. His undergraduate degree is from Chapman University. His master's is from the Conservatory of Music in San Francisco. He's an alum of Castellaro. He started in the 7th grade on hot cross buns. He never had access to lessons, but he wouldn't stop practicing, and he ended up getting full rides for his master's and graduate degree. So that's what the bassist got to work with weekly. So anytime they're home practicing, you can say, what did Mr. Raphael say? The cellist got Dr. James Lynn. His undergraduate degree is from University of Madison, Wisconsin. His master's from Yale, and his doctorate from Stony Brook. He teaches privately here in the area. He's got a couple of his own kiddos that are now playing cello as well. He came in weekly to support and make sure that they understood how to play their instrument and how to take ownership of the work that they do. For our violists, we call him Super Tall Ed. Fun story, he's my teacher's son, and he and I grew up together in the Northwest, and he's now here in the Bay Area. He plays in 12 different orchestras, Boise Phil, Reno Phil, a bunch of local ones here. And he comes in weekly in between all of those engagements to work with the students. We call him Super Tall Ed, because he's 6'5", so he's super tall. And we always joke that if you practice scales, that's how tall you get. So practice your scales, and that's your end result. In our violin section, we have 2 helpers. We have Dr. Sabori, who not only has his doctorate from Rice University, which is a major music school, the Shepherd School of Music, but he's on faculty at UC Santa Barbara and faculty at the Conservatory in San Francisco. And he comes down and was working with the students. He came a few times for this level. And then we have Isabella Amador, who has her undergraduate and master's degree from the University of Michigan, her performance certificate from SFCM, and then she plays professionally in the San Jose Symphony, subs with the San Francisco Symphony, which is one of the biggest orchestras on the planet. And your kids were working with them weekly. So anytime that they work with those folks, they want to take that information, bring it home, and try and remember what they said. They don't always understand everything they say, but the feeling of what it's like to hold the instrument correctly. They're being trained and supported by very high-level specialists, and that's because we have really supportive families that give us give access to all these students who can't take private lessons. We have about 250 students in orchestra this year, and about 30 of them take private lessons regularly. If you go over to Los Gatos or Saratoga High, the number jumps up to the 80 or 90 percentile. This is what we have here, and so giving access to these professionals is a really important step for them to have in their development, and that's with our boosters. So we have our booster president is Tammy Kieran. She loved doing this so much, her kids don't even go here anymore. And so she's been the president of the booster program, but she found we have a new person that has raised their hand to take over for next year, and that's Charlene Thompson. She's here somewhere. And I'm not sure. I'm sure she's going to lean on you for some support. If you want to be more involved, that's one of the wonderful people you get to work with. Our treasurer is Yvonne, and boy, she is conscientious and punctual and has to deal with a lot of numbers. We have a huge budget when you put all of our organizations together. Yvonne is doing an immense amount of work, and Yvonne is here somewhere, I think. I see her. Oh, she's around the corner. And then we have Eden, who's been doing all of our communications, currently live streaming. Hello, whatever I'm on, Facebook or YouTube or something. Eden's been doing all sorts of work to just ramp up the website. If you aren't signed up yet for the website, the membership toolkit, it's something that's really great because all the concert details are all there, all the uniform details are all there, the schedule's on there, private lesson list, links to the YouTube channel, everything's there. So it's one central hub for everything. All the stuff I send home is also on that website. And so thank you so much to Eden, who has set up, I don't know how many live streams and figured it all out and gone to LA to do all of it. Thank you, Eden Tan, for all of your work right there in the back. We have Reba, who's actually coming out here for this concert. She'll come because her kids play in the older orchestra at this point. But Reba's fantastic. fantastic. And if you love fundraising and if you have creative ways to get money into our institution, we would love for that to be. We don't really want to ask just the same people in our own little world all the time. We'd love to know which one of you is related to Steph Curry. And ask him for money. But if you have ideas that might be helpful, we would really appreciate that. And she's the person to talk to, or come talk to me. And then our orchestra rep is Sharon. She's known as Miss Sharon here, and she's got 2 kids that have come through the program. One currently a 7th grader, one is a freshman in high school, so we get her for at least 1 more year. She sends out all sorts of communications, and she's really the reason that everything else happens for this. I'm here conducting and teaching the kids, but she's taking care of all of the infrastructure beyond that. So if you ever see her and you're not sure what she's done for you, just say thank you for all you've done, and that will cover it. Getting the snacks here for the students who had to stay after school, making sure everything was set up, helping with the instruments. At the end of today's concert, getting everything set up over here, making sure there's parent volunteers, everything else that I wouldn't be able to do and couldn't do without her. So a huge round of applause for Miss Sharon, who's around the corner. Okay. So this one you know, this is by the Safaris, this is Wipeout, and you'll hear the familiar tune right away. You can't miss it, and we'll welcome Josh back in on the drums, and you also can't miss that drum solo. This is Wipeout. keep him on the drums and keep him with us. This is Boogie Man Blues, his little blues pattern. It's going to feature some solos in the middle. Now, a solo means one person, but you know we're in a learning situation, so anyone who did the extra work to play the solo gets to play the solo. So we have several people that do the first solo, several people that do the second solo. When we're all done playing those solos, they'll stand up, just like Josh just did for his big drum solo. Now you'll stand up, and then we're learning all these things. So the idea is they rotate towards you when they stand up, so they can receive the applause. If your particular kid stands up and stands like this, that's okay. That's a fun memory that you're catching on film. So that's also okay. We're all learning, we're all growing. Here it is, Boogie Man Blues. because it involves a light show that began back in, 12 years ago or so. And some of the chamber kids are going to come kind of up to the front, if it's comfortable for them, with the violin. And they're just going to stand in front of the arches. Feel free to kind of sneak out the side there. And a few of them are already there. And I'm going to just turn these lights off once they're safely departed. That back area. And as they're leaving, Mr. Lightshow and I he was a chaperone for the LA trip back in 2012. And we were at World-A-Color, and I was like, boy, this is so great because it's, you have all the engineering that goes in with creating this water display, and they're projecting art and playing music, and all the pyrotechnics. This is such a great cross-curricular presentation, and I think it would be something perfect to have a Castellero if they allow us to have pyrotechnics. And he's like, well, that would be great. He's like, I didn't know if you know this, but I design light shows. I just do it at my house for Halloween and Christmas, and that's just one of my hobbies. I'm like, oh, real cool, we should do it sometime. So then, that following Monday, after the LA trip, I'm like, okay, well, his daughter comes up and says, hey, Mr. K, Dad said that he can do a light show this year. You don't have to wait till next year. And I said, oh my gosh, that's amazing. You could really do that in only, 10 days notice. And she said, yeah, he's really excited. And I said, that's great. And then she went home. And she said, Dad, Mr. K would really like it if you did it this year. And we all know about parenting. So about 40 hours later, he had constructed an entire display that had to be carted in with these metal pieces. This is early light show days. Everything was set up, and we played clocks for the first time with our 0-period orchestra. Those were our advanced students. And we started to have more and more tunes added to it, and the apparatus became a little bit more efficient and easier to hang up. Still takes time. But he's been donating everything that you see, plus all of the time to create these moments and these presentations. And the students have been getting, as I've had more experience and been able to support kids better, I'm becoming more efficient as a teacher. So now instead of double O playing this is now the Ionian Orchestra, which is the first-year group as opposed to the third-year group. This is a big piece of music for them to learn every year. It's a really fun goal and a really fun challenge. And it's all done by the inspiration of someone working really hard to give kids experiences. So one more round of applause for Mr. Lightshow. And this is how this works. I'm on headset, so that's a click track. Our drummer Josh is on headset, that's a click track. And so he and I are making sure that we're with the tempo, because you'll hear the main clock's theme, and you'll see the clock appear on the billboards. The lights are not reacting to us. We are playing a very strict tempo to make sure we are with the lights. And that's a hard thing to do. In the opening, it's these long notes. So Josh adds quarter notes on the cymbal just so we can all feel the tempo together. And that way everything lines up as designed. This is by Coldplay, Clocks.